Hello, everybody, and welcome to your 5th episode in a row of Pseudo Ludo, a video game podcast.
In a row?
I don't know, just try to be wacky a little bit, you know?
I'm in. I'm all in on that.
Yeah.
Get that wacky energy up, Murph.
Yeah, I got like giggles. I got the giggles. So.
This is gonna be a good one. Nick, RIP to your edit, man. That's how the first 45 minutes of this were for ours last week. It was chaos.
Yeah. Let's see.
Right.
Let's see here. All right. So every week we get together and we talk about all the games that we've been playing this week. We talk about the news and et cetera, et cetera. And today we are here to talk about mainly the Resident Evil 3 release, of which Brian has beaten it, as far as I know, and he's ready to give us his full rundown on the game. But first, let's get into just a short introduction bit, and then we'll go and talk about what we've been playing. So first, we're going to play what is on Brian's desk right now, and Brian's going to give us 3 options, and 2 of them are true and 1 is a lie. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, technically, this week we're going to be doing what's in my CD player in my car.
Whoa.
I've decided to, switch it up a little bit. And since I haven't been in my car often, I decided to, give it a little spotlight due to COVID, So, these are the 3 options. Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. The College Dropout by Kanye West. Or Rodeo by Travis Scott. Which of these 3 albums is not actually in my CD player in my car?
Channel Orange.
The College Dropout, you said that as a red herring.
Which one of you are your answers secured?
Yes.
Bag secured.
Locked
Bag
in.
secured. Locked. Yes.
Nick, what'd you say?
I said Channel Orange.
All right, well, Murph with another one.
Yo.
God damn, dude. I
Another
suck
one.
at this.
Because the only Kanye albums I have on physical in my car are Yeezus and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Wow.
Good for you, Murph.
Hey, thanks. I kind of sniffed it out,
I thought that was gonna be foolproof. I should have just said Dark Fantasy and then taken it out of my CD player.
You know what? It really sucks is that all of our pre-record episodes before we launched, I got a lot of them right.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys got a ton of them wrong.
Yeah,
I feel like
I didn't get one right until we started actually publishing them.
And I haven't got a
That's
single
when I
one right
decided to
since then.
start. That's when I decided to start posting the episodes. Was when I knew I had a hot streak.
As soon as he got one right, he's like, all right, it's time.
Yep. In 2K games, I don't know if it's still like this in the new ones, where if you got on a hot streak, you just kept making ridiculous shots,
Yeah, that was a good time.
and that you couldn't slow
about
them
buying
down.
2K. Funny.
Yeah. Wasn't it
It was on sale for something cheap recently.
I think I got 19 for $3. Does that sound right? Wasn't it super cheap at one
Yeah.
point?
Yeah, I think I do have that actually.
Yeah, I would just play that one. Yeah. But anyways, well played, Nick, you big stupid loser. Idiot.
Whoa. Just take it easy, man.
What have you guys been up to this week? What have you been playing?
I have been playing a lot of Animal Crossing still. I just paid off the 198,000 bell debt for that house. I haven't played yet today, but I will log in after this, and I will have the new room added to my house.
Get those Nook miles, bro.
Do you know what you're going to do with the extra room yet?
I'm thinking a kitchen.
Okay, cool.
because
I have a kitchen in mine already. It's nice.
I bought a stove, I have a popcorn machine, and then I have knives that you hang on the wall and a knife block.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I just feel like it would be best to make a kitchen out of that space. And then I also have my shrine to the raccoon statues and the champion wrestler statue.
Is that what the other one was?
Yeah, it's in my garden.
Cool.
I'm going to make more raccoons tonight.
Good.
Sounds like a threat.
I'm gonna add some more of that, maybe add some fire. Maybe some campfires around there. Make it look a little...
Are you antagonizing Tom Nook with those statues?
Yes.
Is it
I need to keep him away.
Or
A
are you
message to him?
worshiping him and those are those are statues of him?
Yeah, that's a good question. Which one is it?
I think he flooded the earth, and that's why everyone is forced to buy islands from him. And he's currently the god emperor of animal kind.
I would not put it past him after what he put me through in 05.
Yeah. Brian still wakes up screaming sometimes.
Him and Rossetti, man. They're the reason I have anxiety.
And I told Brian about this earlier, and I watched a YouTube video before we got started here about how to farm tarantulas when you go to a mystery island.
Oh, I heard about that.
So I'll be doing that after this also.
You like chop everything down, right?
Yeah, you gotta get rid of everything.
Cool.
And
how are the town folk? What do you like? Who do you have living there?
I have my first two were Cody, the little blue bear, and Shari, however you pronounce it, the monkey. And then I added Pudge, who's a little orange bear. I like him. He Naruto runs everywhere.
That's nice.
And he has like this like wiggly smile or wiggly mouth, so he like looks dumb on Naruto runs everywhere. It's pretty cool. And then I got Sky the wolf and Felicity the cat.
Oh, do we all have Sky the wolf?
I do not have a wolf.
Or is it just Nick? I also have a disproportionate amount of chickens in my town.
I don't know if I have a single chicken.
I think like 5 of them are chickens.
Okay.
You meant villagers. I thought you meant just like chicken.
No, yeah. No, I have Sky the wolf and the robot Birdman, and then everybody else is chicken.
That robot Birdman is sick.
Do you know who I want? There's another robot. It's a robot frog. I think it's called Ribbot, and I really want that.
Good bit.
That's fire.
Yeah. If I would
Good Ribbit, am I right?
I would sell my soul to Tom Nook twice for Ribbot to move in.
You're already gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
We have to ask you a question about your Animal Crossing methodologies.
I'm gonna finish up and say that I finished the MW2 remastered campaign. Shepard was cleaning house, but I took care of that.
Nice.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh, wow, a game from 2009
that I didn't finish.
Well, catch up.
Yeah, catch up though.
Catch up and mustard, Tim. Yeah, that's the only 2 things that I played in this past week.
Sweet.
Tim, how about you?
Let me see. Dark Souls 2, I went back to that, trying to clean up the trophies.
Where would you rank that on a list of Dark Souls game?
It's got to be the best one by far. No, it's I'd say it's definitely the weakest entry.
Did you say it's the worst?
Yeah, I would. I would say if I had to choose one, I would say so. I haven't played Demon's Souls yet, so I can't speak to that one. It doesn't do as many novel things as the other ones, but obviously it's still a great game. Been enjoying that a lot. I also played more Animal Crossing this week, and I think that's it. I played some Dragon Quest III also.
I'm going to interrupt this broadcast to say that I already told you to, but so the audience knows, I, unbeknownst to me, had to pay $300 to get my car fixed. And, that was a surprise purchase. And then I just got my email to renew my PlayStation Plus. So
you hate to see that.
We're starving out here.
Good. Well, you got the important things.
Yeah.
I'll you can have a kitchen now, so you can cook your own food on Animal Crossing.
That'll help me save some money.
Yeah. Cook at home, stop eating out. What do you have, pears on your island?
I
eat pears.
I got a bunch of fruit now. I got pears, peaches, oranges, apples, and coconuts.
I thought you said pizzas.
Yeah, they grow the pizzas.
Cool. How about you, Bri? What have you been up to?
Resident Evil, which we'll get to, and it's just continuing Animal Crossing.
Cool.
Grinding it out.
Did you beat Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah, come on.
I couldn't recall.
Serious?
Yeah. Did you get that plat? You didn't get the plat in that yet, did you?
No, I beat it on Veteran, and I beat Doom. I don't know if I have talked about that, but I beat Doom as well.
Okay.
And beat Resident Evil, and been playing Animal Crossing.
Did you play any more Doom, Nick?
I have not. I haven't really had a lot of time, and I've been wasting it all on Animal Crossing and MW2.
That's a noble pursuit.
Tim, I have a very important question to ask you.
Let's hear it.
Who gave you the right to start a new island in Animal Crossing? What kind of nonsense is that?
Yeah, and also, what'd you do with my pinball machine?
I don't know. I'm very disappointed.
Genuine gesture of kindness.
I'll probably never get one again. Yeah.
Well, there was a bit also because my note said Corey, you got a bone hand, but that's about it. It was actually, I was like, wow, Murph will like this. And no,
Yeah, wow.
I still hope that I accidentally sent it to somebody else, but
it's possible because I feel like it would return it to you or something. I'll have to look up what happens in that.
Maybe it has. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You probably got it and then started the new island before you checked
No,
the mail or something.
I definitely didn't. I closed up shop there.
So Tim wasn't happy with his randomly generated island that you could terraform in any way you want, so he started another one.
Yeah, basically that about. Well, I did the math in my head, and I was like,
oh,
it's. I don't know. Like knowing the setup, like knowing how the game works now, like where stuff goes, and like what the optimal, like the best way to lay it out that I wanted
you
was.
can move stuff.
No, you can. It's just I was like, let me like do a calculation, and it was like to move everything the way I wanted to. It would have been like a bunch more bells, and I was like, well, I'm not really attached to any of these villagers, which
so
is
you
part
gotta
of
grind.
No, it's
about
like
the
I
hustle.
don't know. Yeah, I did grind to get back to where I basically caught up except for a few other things, but yeah, it was actually a lot more fun going back to it, knowing like what I wanted to do and everything.
No, you're a disgrace.
But I transferred all my furniture and stuff over.
Oh yeah. You cheated. You
so where is my pinball
mailed,
machine at?
This guy mailed everything to the lady he lives with, and then she mailed it back to him, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this guy.
Well, I didn't mail it one by one. I went to her island and gave it to her.
Whatever.
But yeah, that's about the right premise. Yeah.
You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace to the Animal Crossing community.
I think people understand. I think a lot of people probably reset right away to get the islanders.
I honestly doubt that.
All I know is Tom is getting his sweet bells.
Yeah,
way,
dude.
So
Tom's
happy about that.
If Tom's happy, we're all happy because he just sold me a tent twice.
Don't you love how his sons call him our fearless leader? Imagine calling your dad that.
Yeah.
Under any circumstances.
That is pretty great. It's very authoritarian of him.
Especially at 3 a.m. on a graveyard shift at the grocery store that he makes you work at.
With his name.
Those boys have not slept in days.
Yeah,
actually, no.
They don't even have a bed.
Closes, right?
It does, but they don't even have a bed.
He's the one that doesn't close.
Yeah, he doesn't need sleep. He is the fearless leader does not need sleep.
Tom Nook could have a house on the island, and it's always locked. But then, like later in the game, you can try to figure a way inside, and then you see all his atrocities and war crimes.
There's like heads hanging mounted on the wall.
Yeah, he definitely has. He has some demons.
Why do you think he invites you all to an island? Like, you're getting ridiculously good prices for private islands. He's waiting for the hunters to come on, and you're just
the most dangerous game.
Yeah, man is the most dangerous game.
He's making bells off you moving there, and he's gonna make bells off the hunters paying to come to the island.
That's right.
Also, what horrifying past does your character have that he abandons his human life to go live with animals? Like, what did he do?
It does bring up a lot of questions.
Him and Tom are kindred spirits.
Do they know what a human is? Because
they do now.
Yeah, it's very
strange. One pulls up on the scene and becomes Tom Nook's right hand man.
It's kind of like the Jungle Book, but you just end up
but with a lot more capitalism.
Yeah, you just end up joining. you join. What's the evil thing in that? The snake or the cougar? Shere Khan, the tiger thing. You just join him.
I don't think there's a cougar in it. Isn't it a panther?
Yeah, it's a tiger, I want to say.
Or a tiger?
Yeah, it's
there's
a
panther
tiger.
too.
There's also a panther, yeah.
I don't know. It's been a while. But yeah, it's like that, but you join the bad guys. Add in the do.
Well, now we're just going to use that.
I know. I foresaw that.
Buried your own grave.
Buried my... You just dug your own grave by saying that incorrectly.
No.
Buried you. Anyways. So do you guys want to talk about some news quickly?
It's been a pretty light news week. I think there's really only one thing of note, Brian, if you want to bring that up.
But it's also the most profoundly disappointing thing to happen in some time.
Yeah, so this is a bummer. It's an understandable bummer, but regardless, The Last of Us 2, along with Iron Man VR, less importantly, has been delayed indefinitely, and The Last of Us 2 pre-orders were taken off the PlayStation Store.
It's really weird because from their statement, it seems like the reason behind it is because they aren't able to get the physical copies available for launch. But like, why don't they just release it digitally still. Because from anything I've read, it's not a problem with production. It's done, basically. But the big issue is the logistics of the physical copies. I guess that must be a huge source of the income that they don't want to risk or have to deal with people canceling their pre-orders or whatever and not wanting to buy digital. I don't know. But super weird that they're doing refunds for the digital store. That's definitely a red flag that I don't think this game will be coming out for several months. At first I was like it might be a month or so, but now I feel like it'll probably get pushed into the fall.
Do you think it's partially related to the subject matter of the game, or do you think it's wholly because of production problems?
It's wholly production concerns.
I think it's wholly production. Resident Evil just came out. The opening of that game,
that's true.
Not exactly the best look in this time, let me say that much.
Maybe it's what people need, a little catharsis.
I didn't even think about that while I was playing it, really, for the most part. Like, I did at one point, but it surprised me that I wasn't thinking about it the entire time.
Do you think this has any impact on when the PS5 might be released? Or any, not an impact, but do you think this is telling at all about when it might be released?
I will be shocked if it doesn't get delayed, but both them and Microsoft have said that they're sticking to that timeline. But I think there's like no chance at this point that it comes out in the fall. We'll see, though.
I was a bit confused that they specifically went out of their way to reconfirm it when they could have just stayed silent for longer. So to me, it seems like they're resolving to get it out there. But once, like you said, I don't see how that could happen unless they ship it in lesser quantities. Who knows?
But also, they didn't say anything about Ghost of Tsushima, which is weird, because that's only a month after Last of Us. Maybe they're like reconfiguring the launch, like they haven't printed copies of that yet or something.
Right.
I don't know. Really strange. You would think they would want all their first-party games or all their exclusive games to be covered by this release so they don't have to do double negative press, but we'll find out, I guess.
That is interesting. Maybe when is Ghost of... It's still only dated at summer, right?
It's June. No, it has a date.
Oh, June.
It's like June 26th or something.
I mean, that game might come out first then.
I doubt it. I just don't know why they can't just release it on the store. If it's truly not a problem with the software, I mean, there has to be
the game
a
just
reason,
might
but
not. It just might not be ready. Like they clearly were.
According to inside sources and their statement, that's not the case. It has to do with the quote launch and wanting everybody to be able to play it at once.
I think you need to know the percentage of people that are pre-order physical for it to.
There must be a lot of people that don't have online too, like that can only buy. You know what I'm saying? So like they don't have internet connections or whatever. There must be because they said they didn't want people to get spoiled and they want everybody to play it at the same time.
I could see it. Maybe it's just a huge spoiler thing, and they just want that to have a simultaneous release date. Whereas with the Ghost of Tsushima,
I'm sure that game is going to have a ton of spoilers.
Right? No, yeah, but like with Ghost of Tsushima, yeah. No, I don't know.
They ain't got anything going on in it.
I'm a little bit confused because you would think they'd want to push Tsushima back. I don't see why they would want.
That game has to be done, dude. That shit's
it got pushed back because of the Last of Us delay. So that's like it's clearly going to be ready to go.
They haven't made a game since 2014.
The question is if The Last of Us is going to now be right in the way of it because you would think they would push it back. So yeah, The Last of Us might come out after that, which is weird now.
PS5 launch.
Although I don't see the reason for that because you would assume any problem The Last of Us is having with distribution would be the same with Ghost of Tsushima. So I really don't understand why.
Is it a scale? Are they anticipating more physical sales for The Last of Us than Ghost of Tsushima?
Oh, that game's gonna sell so much more than Ghost of Tsushima. It's not even funny.
Is it really going to be an issue for Ghost of Tsushima?
Well, what about Iron Man? If it wasn't for Iron Man VR, I would have...
I didn't even know that game was coming out. Like,
yeah.
Who cares about that?
That's the thing that makes it confusing is if they're also pushing back Iron Man VR, it's not solely because it's The Last of Us 2. Yeah. So it's just strange that they haven't. It's possible that they will still push Ghost of Tsushima back and they just haven't.
No, they will. They definitely will. I just think it's weird.
It is. I agree.
It's probably like everything else where everyone's taking it one thing at a time.
Yeah, it could just be fingers crossed that they'll figure it out by then, but they can't do it. But like that's not a lot of time in between. I keep seeing people say that every game after Final Fantasy is in big trouble, so yeah, Final Fantasy might be Game of the Year by default.
Buckle down.
Final Fantasy over Animal Crossing? Yeah, right.
Animal Crossing and Final Fantasy over the Dragon Ball Z game that came out in January. Yeah, right.
Kakarot.
Kakarot. Did that sound good?
Yeah,
very good.
I don't trust your enthusiasm, your faux enthusiasm there.
Oh, it sounded so good, Tim. Don't worry.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah. Don't be self-conscious about your voice at all.
Want me to do it again?
That was definitely faux. Yeah, do it again.
Kakarot.
Wow, that was
That
way
was
better.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I took some voice acting lessons. You guys. Wait, by the way, this is off topic, but have you seen, like, I don't know if either of you have looked at TikToks, but there's a really funny voice.
No.
Oh
don't.
my god, this guy goes
Don't.
on TikTok, Brian. We let him on this
Don't
cast.
do it.
We're doing a
No,
music cast now.
Don't do it.
Kelsey showed it to me. It's a good time.
Don't do it.
You know,
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna say it.
All right. Is it time for Resident Evil 3 or is it time for Resident Evil 3?
That was a great transition, Brian. I think we should roll with it. Yes.
What do you guys want to know about it? I want you to push the conversation forward since I'm the only one that plays fucking video games on this podcast.
Whoa,
Well,
easy there.
my first couple of questions are gonna be, how long is it to beat, and how many times did you play it?
I played it once on hardcore mode, and it took me 8 hours, but that I did horribly. On hardcore mode, it definitely, I was getting slapped around a fair amount. I would guess if you played it on standard, it would be like 4 hours. It's definitely very short.
So how about you set the scene and just kind of talk about how the game starts off and the characters and all that?
So it starts off this like live action like newscast thing about there being a global pandemic. So I feel like they could have cut that, but we got it. And then there's like a first person sequence where you play as Jill, and that was cool, like a throwback to Resident Evil 7, that first person perspective, which I thought, being that that's the opening of the game, I thought it was going to be maybe more of a blend, because I really did not pay attention to the press around this game. I just loved 7 and 2 so much that I was going to buy this regardless, so I didn't know what the gameplay really was going to entail, if it was going to be both third and first person. It's mostly like 99% third, but there's like brief sections where you're in first person. But then the game just kind of starts after you walk around a little bit in first person, and it takes place concurrently to Resident Evil 2 and in Raccoon City. And then it starts and you start going.
So does the gameplay, do they change it up much more than they did in Resident Evil 2? Is it pretty comparable? How does it play?
So I would say it's a big step back from Resident Evil 2. It's not bad, but I think Resident Evil 2 is like as close to perfect as a recent game has gotten for me. And this one just feels a lot less finished. It has a DLC quality to me.
Okay.
Where it didn't really feel like a full game. And not just that it's short, just the way it's presented is very strange. And when you're just, boots on the ground, bare bones, Resident Evil stuff, it's great. When you're just, limited ammo, you're in one area and you have to backtrack and open the doors and explore and all that, it's great. But it's peppered in. So the whole premise of the game is Nemesis, which is like a Mr. X-esque figure, is chasing you down the whole time while you're doing stuff. But unlike it being like Mr. X, where it's actually in the game, it's these scripted sections, right?
It's in real life?
And I wish. But it's in these scripted, like, Uncharted-y sections that just aren't fun. And they're not scary at all, like, because it's just, you never, ever feel like this thing is actually around, because it's just not. You'll beat a section of the game, and then when you're moving to a new area, a cutscene will start, and you just have to run away from it. And it's just like not. The sections range from harmless to terrible, because when you're playing it on hardcore, they did not prepare for like if you don't have a lot of health, because there's certain sections where, say, right before the action sequence started, you got hurt and you're one hit away from dying. And then you walk into this action sequence, you're stuck there, and you can just die from like something falling on you, and you have to restart the entire thing again. and the load screens are like a minute long, and so that can be really frustrating when there's one part where a giant like mascot head falls off of a building and rolls towards you, and I was wounded, and so I literally just had to do it like almost 10 times and just get lucky because you walk so slow when you're wounded and stuff like that. That's just like just stupid, and it's not intense, or it's just not fun. But the game as a whole is good. I just think it pales in comparison to 2, which is like astounding. I don't think this will be in contention for Game of the Year for me unless no other games end up coming out. I don't have any intention of doing subsequent runs. Yeah, I liked it, but it felt more like a DLC pack to 2. I don't think this is worth paying full price for.
So Brian, did you find that the drop in quality, or is your theory that it was partially related to just how good the base game of 2 was versus the base game of 3? I don't know much about those original games, but I do know that 2 is considered, one of the greatest games of all time, let alone of the Resident Evil series, whereas 3 was less popular.
My question was going to be, did you play the original Resident Evil 3, Bri? I don't know. You can tie all that in together.
My first Resident Evil was 7, so no, I have not played 3, the original. From what I understand, yes, the original of 3 is not as good as the original of 2, but also I have seen that they had cut a lot of the content that was originally in 3, and a lot of the things that they cut are actually like fan favorite sections. So that's strange. And I don't want to act like this is bad. Like, I think I would give it like an 8 maybe, or 7.5 or something. I enjoyed playing it, but I do just think it's just strange. The way it's structured is just so different from 2 and 7, and even to some degree 4, but it's like levels, and it's not like a big connected map like 2 and 7. And I think that's when it's working at its best. And it just feels like that helps masquerade it as being a longer experience because there's like exploration and stuff, where this is just like a demo version of that for like 30 minutes, and then a bad action sequence that either ends in a boss fight or it doesn't, and then you do another like demo Resident Evil level, and then it's just that, on a loop. And I don't think the boss fights and there's like a little bit more of an emphasis on action, and I don't think those work as well as just the standard survival horror stuff. And I think as a whole, just the pacing is very strange, and it's over really quick. But it still looks really good, and the gameplay is still, like, the actual controls and everything are still good. The engine, RE engine, is great. But I definitely left disappointed. And, like, when I was looking at... So I played it on hardcore in, like, consideration for if I wanted to platinum it, so that's one less playthrough. And after beating it on hardcore, I don't intend to platinum it, and it just made me want to play 2 again. Like, it just made me want to go back to that instead of doing any subsequent playthroughs on this. And another thing that's worth noting is just there's no multiple routes, so it's one playthrough. There's no... You don't pick a character in the beginning or anything. It's one playthrough, and there's no new game There's no new game plus, and there's no subsequent modes. So like when you beat Resident Evil 2 campaign, there's the 4th survivor mode and stuff like that. Nothing. There's just the game, and when you beat it on hardcore, you unlock a couple more difficulties, but that's it.
That is weird, actually. That's very weird.
And then the Resident Evil Resistance multiplayer, which I did not touch. But
okay, I was going to ask about that, but I mean, I guess they were developing this multiplayer, and that explains why there's less content in the single-player game. But after playing Resident Evil 2, I expected all of the games would get the similar treatment. I know not every game had like multiple playable characters, but I had kind of assumed they would be adding in more stuff to pad out the game, as it is a remake of a PS1 game. So it is kind of interesting that they left it at that with no new modes, not even... Like, there were short modes on RE2 where you play as, like, a SWAT team guy.
Yeah,
like
4th survivor.
Yeah. That kind of thing. So, it's kind of weird that they didn't add something like that.
And it is shorter. Like, it's at least 2 hours shorter than...
Yeah.
Like, it took me 8 hours, but I was, like, doing really bad on a lot of the boss fights. When I was not... basically, I was only having trouble on those weird action sequences where I would get stuck. That happened a few times, but then mainly the boss fights. And once I got out of a boss fight, I was like shocked by how fast the levels would go. You know what I mean? Like I would Google like how many, how much longer, how far am I in the game or whatever, what kind of areas are coming up, and you like certain areas are literally like minutes.
Yeah,
like 15 minutes or less, and it's just I think the pacing is very strange. It's if you're fiending for some Resident Evil and you've already played 2 and 7, it's worth playing, but unless you're really just dying for it, I don't think it's worth paying $60 for.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me, unless you're maybe really, really into the multiplayer or want to try it out.
Yeah,
but
I don't have any intention of playing that either, unless you guys got it.
I was hopeful for it, that it would be a fun asymmetrical like multiplayer game. But if the main game isn't good enough for me to buy it at full price, I probably, you know what I mean? It's probably just not worth getting into for that alone.
There definitely are cool things in 3 that I didn't know about. I don't know if they're spoilers, so I won't say, but there's definitely moments that are very cool, but I think as a whole, it just is underwhelming compared to just the recent output of the series.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how much action is, and like how much Nemesis has changed compared to the original, but I thought the Nemesis portion was like by far the worst part. It was just anytime he showed up, I was just like, God damn it. It was just like these repetitive ass chase sequences and boss fights, and it's not scary looking. I think the Mr. X, the way they spun that into Mr. X actually being in the game, because as far as I know, that's not how the original Resident Evil 2 was. That's like such a clever innovation to have him actually in the level. And having Nemesis just be a boss fight is it's just not. It feels so dated and clunky, and the boss fights aren't like clever. It's just shoot him here, wait for him to do this, whatever. And especially on hardcore, some of that can just be so annoying. Like he just one hits you or something. And I'm not acting like it's some crazy hard mode, but I just was doing not well with it.
Yeah.
I don't think I was prepared for it, because I think that the Switch leaning more towards action, which obviously they do going forward, like 4, 5, and 6 are more action oriented than the earlier ones. But I think the scarcity of ammo is annoying in the action oriented sequences, because you have to kill everything. It's not like it's an option to just walk by them like it is in the survival horror stretches.
Right.
But I don't regret buying it, but I think it should have been priced at $40 or lower.
Yeah,
an unfair price, I would say.
I don't think that sounds like a good value at all. It may have been better, and I was almost assuming that there would be something like this where the main game could be sold separately from the online, so you could play the single player for maybe 40 and then maybe get the online for 25 or something like that. So that's kind of a disappointment, but I guess you're starting with a lesser quality product to begin with than Resident Evil 2. But I did assume,
as far as I know,
as far as just from what I know, but I did assume they would kind of be using what they learned in the Resident Evil 2 remake and basically reimagine RE3 to be of that same quality. It did come out very, very quickly from the release.
That was a red flag.
So I was wondering how they had that done in that amount of time. But it makes sense now. It makes sense now.
They took the scissors to it and chopped it up nice.
Did it sell well so far, or has it sold well?
I'm sure it will.
Yeah,
it's good. It's not like I don't think it's like a flop or anything. It's just a little.
Right.
I was expecting it to be like as good or better than 2, or at least, in the same. Like I deleted it off my PlayStation already. Like I was like, I'm not playing this for a long time. Like I was already looking at the trophy list for 2. I was like, this game is where it's at.
Yeah.
And even 7, which is definitely it's not as polished as 2. There is something missing in this one compared to those games, where it just feels like not half-assed, because the game, and it did have a couple visual bugs where you'd walk into a room and there's nothing there and you have to wait a couple seconds, but aside from that, it runs fine. And it's just the way it's structured and the way it's paced, it just felt like they just cut corners, I guess. It felt like a string of demos with some action set pieces that look expensive but aren't particularly fun to play.
Would you throw a final score on it, or do you feel like you would know what to give it?
I'd probably say like a 7.5 or 8. Probably 7.5.
So on our scale of big out, in, or big in, What are you giving that?
whatever we would need to establish some sort of middle ground.
No, there ain't
No,
that.
you can't have middle ground. That's where you fall. That's where you falter.
Then just an in, which is infuriating because I would probably put Doom in that category, but Doom is much better than this. But I suppose that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, if you don't make it to big in, you're if you're not first, you're last.
Animal Crossing is the only big in of the year.
Yeah.
Every other game I've played has been. Well, I mean, if you're counting Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, that's a big in for me.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that counts.
Kind of a cheat code, but
I'll count it.
Everything else would be an in. No outs.
It's kind of like in college, there's thousands of athletes for whatever sport. Let's just say football. And they're all good. But then in the NFL, there's only hundreds, and they're the elite. So that's like the difference between big in and in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's superstars in college. They're still in the in.
Yeah, they're really good still. Yeah. But just not.
Another thing I do love about Resident Evil in general is just how ridiculous the story and
is it campy still?
That's a great time.
Does it have the?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The story and the cutscenes and stuff is a good time.
That's fun. I'll probably. I mean,
and the characters.
Some
of the dialogue is hilarious.
I'll certainly pick it up when it's reduced in price. It no longer.
I would say because neither of you have played 7, right?
No, I would play that.
I mean, I watched you play 7 in its entirety.
Yeah, I played it in like one sitting.
Is there a platinum for that or anything, or like a fun platinum for that?
I mean, define fun. They're all really hard.
Challenge
one
based.
dude. So I beat it on hardcore, and I've already complained about how it's hard, and I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
But there's 2 harder difficulties that you have to do to get the platinum, and on the hardest one, you have to get S rank on it. Like no shot, I'll lose my mind. Like this is just not gonna happen.
That's not fun.
But like the other ones, it's not you have to beat it on hardcore, but you don't have to beat it on anything higher than that. And then it's just like don't use the item box. Honestly, for this one, not using the item box wouldn't have been hard at all. I barely used it. I should have paid more attention to that. I could have gotten that trophy probably.
Oh yeah,
because there's not a lot of like items. It's like not as key heavy as the other ones.
It's not like backtracky where you.
Not really, because you're not staying in the same areas. It is. It's more than 4. It's less than 2. Like 4 is less connected, at least from I didn't finish it, but from what I had played of it, it's more level based, and that's kind of how this is, where you play like an area, and then the nemesis thing happens, and then you're in a new area, and you don't go back to the other area, at least not in any substantial way.
One of my favorite parts about RE2, and it sounds like this is kind of a standout from just that series in general, was that almost like it felt like a level base. It felt like kind of a Metroidvania thing where you get the lay of the land and stuff like that. But what it really felt like was just you felt like you were mastering the territory that you were in by slowly getting the hang of the police station or whatever. And, you start to learn shortcuts to where you need to go, that kind of thing. That was really fun in that game.
That still happens. It's just on a much smaller scale. Like in 2, when you eventually like take that like elevator thing and you go up and you're back in the very beginning of the police station, that doesn't ever happen. It's not anything like that.
Okay.
Where you do kind of, go back to areas, but not in that capacity. It's mostly like a level-based thing. And I don't really want to say why, but there are reasons why it's like that in the story. And it's I'm not necessarily saying it needs to be like that.
Right.
But the rest, what is there, needs to be a more tight, polished, and lengthier, or like substantial. It's not even like necessarily the length. It just feels it feels shallow, I guess. But there's one part with like these spider things that was horrifying. I just want to put that out. Horrifying. I did not know that was going to be anything with bugs was going to be in the game, and I was not prepared.
Yeah, what are you,
never came back.
What are you, Blathers?
Yes, my feathers.
Are there more or less My Date with the President's Daughter references in RE3 than in 4?
Less.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Of course.
I don't need to
That's
buy
another
this game.
thing. All right, so I have beaten 3. I have beaten 2. I have beaten 7. I know what happens in 1. And I still don't understand how we get from where we were in 2 and 3 to 4. I still have no clue how that happens. Like 3 is like a zombie apocalypse. 2 and 3 are like a zombie apocalypse. and then somehow Leon is like dating the president's daughter in Europe. Not really dating, but you get what I'm saying. And there's like a cult. I don't know what's going on.
Just the natural progression of life, right?
I guess.
All right. So do you guys want to wrap it up for the day? Do we have anything else we want to talk about?
Final Fantasy VII review coming soon.
Coming soon.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Also, part of the wrap up, I think we should mention that what our kind of schedule is going to be going forward. We're still going to do the weekly episodes, but every month we're going to pick a game to do a deep dive on. Talk about the history. We're each going to play it again and do a nice long discussion about that. Hopefully go into more detail than normal. And this month of April, we have picked BioShock.
Yes, so we'll all be revisiting that game. Brian has beat it. Nick and I have both played it, and we have not beat it. Brian has beat it multiple times.
on multiple consoles.
I'm Brian. I only play video games.
I know. I only play video games. Brian watches movies too.
You guys just don't play the multitude of games that I play. You probably play more hours than I do. At least Murph 100% does. Remember that shit? The PlayStation wrap up. His was like quadruple hours.
Well, I don't go across state lines every weekend,
Neither do I.
Neither do I. Yeah, you do.
I don't.
Well, not
Everything's
state
in the same
lines.
state, stupid.
I know. It's
Everything.
the state of Nook.
All right, we done?
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good episode.
Want to blow this candle stand? That's not a thing.
Yeah. Wow, you've had a couple
Popsicle stand. Popsicle stand.
buried your own grave.
If you guys have made it this far in the episode, be sure to check out our Twitter at Pseudo Ludo Cast and our YouTube channel. Brian, what is that called?
Just Pseudo Ludo.
Cool. Make sure you check those out. Support the podcast on whatever service you use to listen. And thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye. Nick, are you chewing back there?
Alright, cool cats and kittens. This is Carol Baskin from Big Cat Rescue. Oh, Sophie didn't poop today, but Ben ate all of his fish.